Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. In this video I will give you a complete guide for the Valentine 2022 event, with the main focus being, as always, all the possible farming composition for the best free quest nodes. Since this time I covered literally every possible DPS for the best farming nodes, as you can see on the intro screen right now, I decided to change slightly the layout of the guide. In practice, I will divide this video in three parts. In the first part, I will explain the layout of the farming guide that you can find on the last part of this video, with example taken from that part. This is in order to help you find the best possible setup for you and help you understand how to read the information that I will provide you with on the screen each time. In the second part of this video I will give you a quick event guide. Here you can find all the possible information for this event, how to progress in this event, how to farm, and general tips for the specific event. Finally, in the last part of this video you will find the actual farming composition for the best 5 free quests. So, how can you find the best possible setup for you? First of all, if you have one of the servants in the intro screen that you can check right now, then you'll be able to find a setup in this video. As you can see, I covered basically every possible DPS for the last 5 free quest node, all the Buster, all the Quick, all the Arts, and all the free-to-player setups. Usually in my previous videos I only covered the best possible setups. This time I decided to cover the best possible setups for each DPS available for each node. In order to keep the guide as concise and short as possible, I have gone for this layout. I will start with a quick overview of the free quest, with the material drops and the enemy types. Then I'll move on with the best possible quick setup. I will tell you in a moment how I ranked them in order. Afterwards I will give you alternative quick setup for all the other quick DPS available for that node. Checking the example on the screen right now, you can see that I have listed them in order of rarity and class advantage, but I've also given them a rank, the red number, to help you understand how easy it is to loop for those specific DPS. When I'm done with the quick setups, I will move on with the art setup, and the layout will be the same. Namely, best setup first, with a detailed approach with skill usage for each room, and then all the alternative setups that are the best possible setup for each alternative arts DPS. I will repeat this layout again for the Buster setups, and finally at the end I will give you the best possible free-to-player setup. Before moving on, I want to point out now that I didn't include in my calculation a max limit broken event shop C, the one called Need the Love that you'll find next in this video, and that will give you the max possible drop bonus for event points. The reason is that you'll only get 4 copies of this C from the shop, and in order to maximize your drop bonus, you mustn't max limit break it before getting 4 extra copy from drops while farming. Since this is very unlikely, I decided to use the best possible 50% start MP charge CE for all the setups that I used, specifying each time if you can use other generic 50% MP charge C. For example, this include of course the max limit broken event shop C, if you manage to get all the 4 extra drops while farming. Now I want to briefly explain how I ranked the different setups, so how I choose the best possible one, and the red number used to rank all the alternative setups. for the alternative DPS. The first thing I will evaluate for a specific setup is the event drop bonus. Setups with the highest total drop bonus will always be favored regardless of party cost and damage, as long as they can reliably clear the quest, of course. In other words, I don't care if you need all 5-star premium supports, and I don't care if there is another setups that can deal more damage. If that setup has the best possible drop bonus of all the possible setups, then it's the best one. Next, I will look at the party cost, and in order I will evaluate the CE used, the servant's rarity, and finally if those CE or servants are limited or permanent. First of all, the CE. I will rank a specific setup higher if it can work with the lowest possible starting MP charge CE, and for setups that use the same percentage of starting MP charge, I will rank higher the ones that can use free-to-player CEs. In practice, all the setups that use a kaleidoscope or a maximally broken kaleidoscope will be ranked the lowest. That's because getting a kaleidoscope is actually more difficult than getting a specific premium 5-star supports, since there are no rate ups for kaleidoscope. Even more so if you are talking about a massively broken kaleidoscope. Next, I will look at the servant's rarity, so the less stars the better. If the DPS or the supports required are 4-star, then I will evaluate it higher than setups that use 5 stars. That's because, of course, 5-star are more difficult to get, but also because the party cost will be lower, and then you can use more event CE to increase the drop rate if you use a party with less party cost. And finally, if setups are still on equal footing in the ranking, I will evaluate if the servants or the CE used are limited or permanent. For example, if we compare Bride to Weaver, I will rank higher setups that use Weaver, since Weaver is a permanent servant while Bride is a limited one. The last number I will look at while ranking all the possible setups is the damage. If all the previous points are equal, I use first the setups with the highest damage. In this video I actually didn't put too much attention in this last point, since I have already split all the setups in different rank very well. What I've done in practice is list them in order of decreasing class advantage and rarity. For example, with a caster node, I will list before the 5-star rider, then the 4-star rider, 3-star rider, and so on. Then I will list the berserker and alter egos that have half class advantage, and finally I will list the neutral classes that are basically Space Ishtar and Dantes. Moving on with the second part of this video, here you can find a quick event guide with all the information that you may need before you actually start farming. Valentine 2022 is a farming event with the usual 3 shop currencies and a point ladder to climb. All free quests will drop a different combination of shop currencies, but they will always drop points, with the last possible free quest that drops points only. Climbing the points ladder will give you rewards and chocolates tradable with Valentine CE for each one of your servants. Those CE are meant to be used as experience fodder to level up your other CEs. If you are a collectionist and you are afraid of losing them, remember that you can still check them in your room. In fact, you are able to see all the CEs and the servants that you have summoned so far in the game, even the one that you have burned for Mana Prism, for example. If you want to maximize the experience bonus, you can wait for a specific event that gives higher chance of super success and great success while enhancing Cs. And of course, if you are loyal to your waifu or husbando and you want to save those C, I won't stop you, of course. The 3 gacha C will boost the drop rate for their respective shop currency as usual. Unlimited shop C will boost instead the points drop rate, and in a lower percentage, 10% instead of 30%, the Valentine Cs will also boost the point drop bonus. This is important. In order to maximize your points drop bonus, you must not maximally break the limited shop C until you get 4 additional C drops while farming free quests. As I said previously in the first part of the video, since this is very unlikely to happen, I didn't include in my calculation for the best possible setups a maximally broken copy of the event shop C. Instead, I've used the best possible 50% starting MP charge C for each setup, specifying each time if you can use a generic 50% starting MP charge C, and this of course include a maximum broken copy of the event shop C. Moving on to the event currencies, you'll have the 3 bronze, silver and gold currencies that you'll need to farm in order to clear the event shop. As I said previously, while farming the shop currencies, you'll always farm even event points, climbing the point ladder to receive rewards and, most importantly, chocolates. Among the 4 event limited Cs, I will only use 2 for the farming composition in the last part of this video. That is the 5-star Chocolate Heaven, that is very useful for quick looping if there are servants that can actually loop with 0% starting recharge. Spoiler, there are. And of course the 5-star Shop C Need the Love, that we'll be using for the starting 30% MP charge. The other 2 gacha Cs will only be used in my farming composition to increase the drop bonus, but they are not required for that specific setups to work. Regarding Valentine Cs, remember that as with the previous Valentine event, you can now get voiceover dialogue for the cutscenes when a player obtains the Valentine Cs. If you haven't unlocked the voiceover dialogue during last year's Valentine event, you'll need to use the old Valentine Cs for experience, and then you'll need to get them again during this event. Lock-on Choco will let you choose which servant C you want to get, while Surprise Choco will get you a random Valentine C. In this year's Valentine event, they've also introduced the Friend Choco. You'll get them together with the other chocolates while climbing the point ladder, and you can use them to get 10 Mana Prism when farming a quest, while giving 200 friend points to the person whose support you have used. You can repeat this 3 times each day for each friend list user. And of course, this year event servant Sai Shonagon will get a damage bonus and a bond bonus. You will find her later on the quick farming composition. The general farming strategy to progress in this event is as follows. You'll need to complete the main quest that will unlock each day. Doing so will unlock the latest fundamental free quest that you can farm in order to burn your daily AP. Just don't use Apple yet, because these are not the best possible free quests for each currency. Save them for later if you need them, when you will unlock the season free quest. As we will see in a moment, you can choose to farm a specific shop currency alone, or you can run the mixed node to farm all 3 together. That will depend on your gacha Cs. When you are done with clearing the event shop, you can farm only the final season free quest for event points. In order to get all the rewards, you'll need to reach 3 million points. Here I have provided you with a quick free quest overview. All these 5 quests will be covered in the next part of this video with the best possible composition for each available DPS for each node. The trendy node for points is the one that you'll farm the most in order to climb at the top of the point ladder, to get the rewards and the Valentine chocolates to exchange with the Valentine seeds, and thank God among its drop there are dust and bones. Everyone, new or old player, will need those 2 material, so we are all happy. If you need to decide between farming a single shop currency or farming all 3 together in the winter free quest, I just highlighted in red 2 materials that are very rare and that you'll likely need in the future. I'm talking about Mirror and X, the last of which you'll need for Castoria, for example. Remember that these drop rates are lower than the available free quest, but if you can get extra material while farming for the event, that's always a good deal. To conclude this guide, you can check on the screen right now my usual farming tips, with the assumption that I've used in my calculation while creating the farming composition. So if you have some doubts about some setups, first check the screen with the assumption that I've used, and if that don't solve your problems, feel free to ask in the comment section below. Since this time I've covered every possible DPS for each node, there are bound to be doubts about some setups, since I can't, for obvious time constraints, give you a detailed approach with skill usage for each room, for each possible setup, or this video will be 3 hours long. For those reasons, I highly suggest you to check the first part of this video, in case you have skipped to this point, to understand the layout of the different farming composition that I will give you in the next part, in order to help you find quickly the best possible setup for you. With that said, I will leave you to the last part of this video with the actual farming composition. As always, if you have found this type of guide useful, please let me know in some way, leaving a like, comment, subscribing, and that way you can help me keep up the motivation to go on with this type of content. In any case, thank you for watching this video, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.